Welcome to an Adobe Illustrator Basics tutorial. This video will cover some of the fundamental tools and concepts that are used by masters and beginners of the program. This tutorial can be used in conjunction with the Adobe After Effects Parts 1 and 2 videos of the Maker Mindset playlist. Let's get started. You may think that Photoshop is similar to Illustrator, but in fact, they are very different programs. While Photoshop rasterizes images, breaking them down into a finite quality, which cannot be increased, Illustrator uses vectors, which can be scaled infinitely, and then later on exported into rasterized images. So think of Illustrator as a way to create building blocks for your final product, which is either going to be a poster or a business card or even a billboard ad. The first thing you will need to do after opening Illustrator is click on Create New. Since we are just working on the computer and not printing anything, we can click on Web and select our standard resolution size 1920 by 1080 pixels as our canvas. These dimensions are normally the same dimensions as most desktop monitors nowadays. Next, if it is not already visible, go to Window and then click Control. This will give you access to the essential tools of Illustrator. Let's start by selecting the Rectangle tool or hitting M on your keyboard and clicking and dragging onto the canvas. This will create a rectangle. After creating your rectangle, notice all the little white boxes. If you move your cursor directly over one of them, you can change the size of your rectangle by clicking and dragging. If you hold Shift while clicking and dragging over the little white boxes, you can scale your rectangle proportionally. The same goes if you create a new rectangle. You'll create a square. And if you try this using the Ellipse tool, you'll get a circle. Just click and hold the Rectangle tool icon and select Ellipse, or hit L on your keyboard. If you move your cursor just outside the little white boxes, your cursor will change from a straight double arrow with a slit in the middle to a curved double arrow. If you click and drag while this cursor is visible, you can rotate your rectangles or any of your shapes. Now, if you hold Shift while clicking and dragging, you can rotate in increments of 45-degree angles, which is very helpful for maintaining a geometric look to your work. Now let's make our shapes look prettier by adding some color. Click one of your rectangles, go down to the bottom of the bar on the left side, and double-click the square that says Fill. By default, this square might be black. This will bring up a window that can allow you to change the hue and value of your color. Finally, let's give our rectangle a border. Double-click the square called Stroke that is underneath the fill square and select a color other than white. If you can't find it, it will be a small square with a diagonal red line going across it. Now, if you go back up to the top, we can make our border or stroke thicker by selecting our rectangle, going to the bar on the top of the screen and clicking the up arrow associated with stroke. You can increase the thickness of your stroke in 1-point increments, or you can simply type in the value that you desire. The final concept I will mention in this video is layers. As you work on a project in Illustrator, over time you build up hundreds of different shapes. Smart designers separate their shapes into different named layers so that it makes it easier to make changes later on. For instance, if we are tracing a face in Illustrator, we can create a new layer for each facial feature. The nostrils can go in a layer named Nose, and the pupils can go in a layer named Eyes, and so forth. Both of these layers will be above our head layer so that they can be visible, because if a shape is above another shape in the Layers window, it will obstruct it if it is bigger than it. To create a new layer, go to the bottom right of the screen and click the square with a plus inside. To name your layers, just double-click on the layer and type in the new name. To move layers, Just click and drag the layer above or below another in the layers window. You can also move shapes into different layers by clicking and dragging them into another main layer. You can tell which layer is a main layer by clicking the down arrow next to your layer name. This will create a drop-down box that shows you each shape that is contained within that layer. Lastly, you can group shapes together so that they move together. You can do this by clicking a shape and shift-clicking another shape, and right-clicking and selecting group. These fundamentals of Illustrator will help you create almost anything within the program. You can never be good enough at the basics. Thanks for watching, and please comment anything in the comment section below if you have any questions, and subscribe to the Science Museum of Virginia channel if you would like to see an Illustrator's Basics Part 2.